Okay. This is Calcat, the Calcatster. And this is the beginning of the making of the next episode, I guess. Sort of. No, it isn't really. It's the last one. Doing rendering the, what is this? The Wrath of the Overlords. Rendering the Wrath of the Overlords, making of, so far. Then they're going to put the movie together tomorrow. Rendering the Wrath of the Overlords, making of, which is huge. It's almost 2 hours of making of footage. We tried to make it shorter, but each time we say we tried to make it shorter, it ends up being longer. Don't know why that is. But, except that we like to ramble. Doesn't matter. I mean, this is like, and there were no bloopers on the making of footage, just because it was long enough as it was. And we did the scenes differently. We did a full scene and then stopped. Then another full scene and then stopped. As opposed to doing pieces of a scene chopped up and making it really hard for the computer to render each individual thing. We said, like, okay, let's do a 7-minute scene. Let's do the whole scene. Keep the camera rolling. Do the whole scene. And go on to the next. Keep the camera rolling. Do the whole scene. Go on to the next. A lot quicker. By that way. And that's the way Chimera was. So I don't know why we didn't figure out doing that. Also, Also, there was the scene where Galvatron and Megatron were commanders of the galaxy, and they come back, and we don't get to see that. But actually, if you go back to if you go back to Children of the Shadow, which introduces us to the two Titan Galvatron and Megatrons, and you go back to Transtech, where the Galvatron Megatron was one of them. And he was attacked by the Scorponok in a Transtech 3, the third series, and this other one. It is them. So remember, the Wrath planet works in that it increases the ambition of those that already have Wrath. So like Decepticons are already angry. So Wrath, anger, Wrath versus love and peace and harmony and everything would be the Autobots. It would drive Autobots crazy, but it would drive Decepticons even crazier because it would have to do that. So there you go. We could certainly work in that other one. Maybe we will. But not this season. Anyway, so the Galvatron and the Megatron going into the other galaxy totally makes sense because it's like, oh, dude, that's the Space Bridge. Yes, it's from Space Bridge. Was nodding to Space Bridge. I was literally saying, those two, when they became the Titan cities and fought each other, that's what they imagined. There we go. Oh, yeah. So then the other Starscream stuff, that's what they imagined. And Starscream imagined it all the way back. The other thing was the bait and switch thing. I don't know if that was clear in the story, but it's the usual suspects. The bait and switch thing was the usual suspects moment. So what they did with that was when the Autobots decided, okay, you're gonna go in, you're gonna bring the Titan City, but you're actually gonna be in Metroplex and not in the Titan City. So that when the Titans beam down, they're to the planet, they meet Starscream and whatever. They're already, the Titans beam down. They're in the last half of the story, and they end up in the thing, usual suspect style. The idea was that Starscream, because he's insane and in everything, he thinks he has used the power that he got from Skywarp. He thinks he's actually gotten the Matrix, but he's been duped the entire time. He thinks he has a creation matrix because now he's in charge of everything. He figures he's in charge of everything and the planet worked in his favor. But he has Rodimus Prime's dead matrix. He has Maxis Carta's dead matrix in his chest, or in his little building next to him, thinking it's the real one. And there's like a statue of the guy, in the background to let you know, oh, this could be it. A statue of Alpha Trion, but it's not him, and nobody can see him. Until later when you can see him because he's in the room with the guy that has the real Matrix. So when you can see him, then it's the guy with the real Matrix. Turns out it's the shiny Megatron from Velocitron. He can see it because he actually has the Matrix inside it the whole time. So he was off racing around in his fantasy with the Matrix the whole time. So yeah, that's the giveaway at the end, which is consistent. And also, if you look at how the thing is structured, it still is the 99th and 100th episode. It still is, even though it's the other AMOD version is spread out across 2 episodes instead. So the tonal shift is still there, but it's spread out. Edit this so that, but still edit this so that the stuff on Nebulous is just on Nebulous. Don't mix them up because they don't make sense mixed up. But rather, this is a part 1 and a part 2 stuck into it as one. Yeah, so we got Nebulous for part 1 of the full episode's here in one fell swoop. It's probably going to be 90 minutes or longer. It's long. And then the second half is, of course, the Andraxis. But one leads into the other. It works. They are related enough in theme. Now, there aren't as many space battles in the Andraxis part, but there don't have to be because the characters in it were leading to that point. They were building to that point with their anger. When they got there, they got everything they wanted, and they didn't like it. So yeah, it's Fantasy Island basically. Out there. And of course, they would have to get back to the planet. You might, if you want to explain, hit it home to the audience, that they do return to. You don't have to, but if they do return to the other planets, let you know that it's not still in the on the fantasy planet. You can cut to a shot of them home, or a shot of them returning to the planet, if you want. You don't have to. Yeah, cut it to a shot of them returning to the planet. Maybe just a shot of the room of Maxis Carta and Cowboy Dude, Dragonus Prime, arriving back in the same spot where they ended up. Going like, oh yeah, I'm back. You don't have to do that, but I don't think it's that hard to follow. I think it's pretty clear what happened. The bait and switch, what happened? Yeah, so you kind of knew that guy was going to be the bait and switch because the whole time. Yeah, there is no actual script of the bait and switch. It was somebody else, but I changed it. It's supposed to be like Double Dealer and the twins, punch and counterpunch. But I thought that, no, we don't need to do that. No, this version is just, no. They're in it, but we don't need to do that. So yeah, that's my take on the episode we just did. Render it. Yeah, and yeah. I'm not going to ramble anymore about it, but it's a good one. It's a good one. I took a script and story that had a weak first act and made it a really awesome first act. So, the dailies look great, so do it. There's going to be more. There's going to be more. Okay. Greetings, this is Calcat the Calcaster. Still behind the scenes of doing, putting together the latest episode, Wrath of the Overlords. And this is real brief. I was doing that, and then I just kind of skimmed through Blood Crow or Belinda Kelly's second adaptation of Andraxis, which is an expansion of the Andraxis story, turns out. But it's different enough that it could be considered an episode. So it's sort of going to be a... well, it could be an episode. So if we'll just establish that we can get around to filming it, we will film it this season with the other ones. It's not a replacement for another one. It's an episode. It certainly is worthy of translating it into a story. It's cool. So actually, it's very similar to the Wrath of the Overlord story in a lot of ways. We kind of knew the direction she was going to go with it, and it's not the planet of Wrath exactly, but it's something very similar that happens to them. They in this story they encounter a Matryoshka brain that apparently ship. They didn't explicitly say that, but that's what's going on. Well, they sort of did. They sort of imply there's a barrier around the planet. They're inside it, and it's kind of like that. Yeah, ambition and wrath, and feeling and emotion in the planet. So they believe, Starscream believes he's the lord of this planet, and he's the lord of all the Decepticons because he's been convinced that he is actually in charge in that universe. Which is he isn't really. He's just trapped in this weird universe thing. I think we would make it bigger than that though, because it is essentially a movie. It's about 100 pages. As an episode script, it'd be like 80 minutes roughly if it was filmed the way it was shot, and because a lot of it is in the first person, and that you wouldn't do in a trans movie. There would be a lot of exposition, a lot of talking. You'd have to so it would be less than that. But that was common for newer fanfics after 1998 to do that. It is within the realm, though. It's 2003. It was just at the cutoff date. Otherwise, it is familiar. It's similar to City of Time Forgot. I think it had been read years ago. So, but not as City of Time Forgot. It was sort of a homage to that story. Apparently, somehow they got a hold of it. Well, there was that. Well, here's how they got a hold of some of those early Carta stories. They were on the MUSH too. Yeah, so it wasn't that they saw the videos of Trans and Trans 2 from the 90s. They saw the stories, the short stories that were based on the videos of Trans and Trans 2. They said, "Oh, these short stories are cool. These fanfics. Let's pay homage to them," not realizing that many of them were me. and they just went with that. But not this one. This was an homage to someone that I never met. Never met this person. But it's kind of cool that they took that story in a direction that was very similar to the way the Wrath of the Overlords went. So, and of the characters that this person introduced, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Only 14 new characters that are introduced in the story. That's an episode of Trans. 14, only 14. That's an episode. So I see no reason why we couldn't film this one too and add it to the season. The season is not limited by how many episodes we need to shoot. It's certainly not limited by how many we don't shoot. As we put all the episodes together and have fun doing them. And this was a good, well-written story. That the 50-page version of the story was so well done that we did it in 2 days. This is wonderful. We could do it in 4 days. We could shoot this story. Why not? And we can tie it into the Wrath Planet stuff. We can have them return to the Wrath Planet to get revenge on it, which is kind of what happens in the story. So yeah, it kind of works. Also, the other story arcs that are going on. We have the Carta story arc. We have the Carta Max's story arc. They have the what is the nature of this cult? That's the Liege Maximo. That's an upcoming episode, a long one like this one. That is coming up. It's called Genesis Fading Memories is the name of that one. That one's coming up. And some other ones. They're further along. Down in the series. The next episode after this is Head of the Hydra, and let's see, Head of the Hydra, mixed in with Absolutions. So we're gonna play around in the sandbox of Robert Jung, another Robert. We got a lot of Roberts and Bobbies, and this guy wrote this in 1995, and the other sequel in 1997. So these are earlier. So these are going to have Generation 2 elements. It is sort of a sequel to Sibling Rivalry. And this segues right into that. So this is what's going to be next. Kind of like Stranded, Day on the Edge. Head of the Hydra. All the things are kind of connected. We have a power matrix and a creation matrix and all that. Through them in the elements of that, we had, of course, Max's Carta and what's he doing, and we had elements of getting the creation matrix and doing this other story with the, which was going to be Skylinks, but it turns out is now not Skylinks, but rather the Regis Maximus. May turn that back into Skylinks because that kind of makes more sense. Just because why would the city ship be doing that? Unless the implication is that in this other story, Regis Maximus gains his Starscream abilities again, because he was a former Starscream ship, giant Starscream, a Titan, basically. He was a Titan, so it's possible you could still pull that off, but it would be really awkward. It'd be strange. The doing the Titans is strange. Anyway, so that is my bridge too far with the stories. Blood Crow's Andraxis 7 is approved. So you can make an episode out of it.
Action. This is a pickup scene at the end of the movie to establish that absolutely they are going home. They are out of the Wrath Planet's clutches. Absolutely. So they've been waiting for the shuttle, and let's do this scene. Technically day 8. Calicaster, technically day 8. Trypticon arrived during final production of this movie. So we couldn't have all the cities without putting Trypticon in there. Even if it was like a few seconds. Trypticon is here. So Trypticon had to appear at the end. So even though it was all done, we had a minute and a half or two minutes left, and so Trypticon is actually in the story. So he says he's there. There he is, and Trypticon. So he arrived on Thursday when we were in post production on the other story. So but I think it was Thursday, and on the 10th. So this is a little bit more footage to establish, unlike in the X-Files episode where they would go like, oh, we didn't mean to show you the last 3 minutes. None of those characters that were in this conspiracy mattered. No, they're actually going home. It's definitively they're going home to the planet they were at in the beginning and then home. It's definitive. They're not stuck in the Nexus thing. So that just thought I would let you know that post-production thing. This is also making of the next episode coming up. So next one we're going to Head of the Hydra. We're not going to do Andraxis 7. It still needs to be edited. So hold up on that one. But there is a sequel down the pipe. The next is Head of the Hydra and another episode together. Ooh, this one is going to come out to about 90 minutes. It's a movie. Anyway.
This here's Clint Cowpoke. The next one we're going to be doing is Head of the Hydra and Absolutions. It's going to be we'll go on more of that later, but these two are the work of Robert Jung. But also completed editing, rendering this other thing. Completed editing Andraxis 7 by Belinda Kelly, by Blood Crow. And it's awesome. So we have put it in the lineup. The remaining episodes of the season, which is not here. And so we got, this is the season, because the Wrath of the Overlords, how much we cut out. So Head of the Hydra next. Followed by Come and Clean. Next, after that. Which is followed by Mandraxus, the Lord Commander. Followed by Stranded. Followed by Genesis Fading Memories. Followed by the season finale, Redemption. Epic Redemption. It was a 2003 rewrite of a 1996 story in Draxus 7, so it's still 1996. She just rewrote it in 2003. Edited a little bit. So we can use it and get it for the byline. So good. So, this story that we just put together, it's real awesome. We took a story that was allegedly the weakest of the stories that were remaining. But it actually, the one we did, this is now really awesome. I'm just saying that because I directed it. And it is a really good story. I watched it and I was like a few little gonks, but they're not anything really to worry about. So I'm not going to bother trying to comb through the whole thing looking for a few little image effects. There aren't any bloopers on this, really. There were some outtakes, but you'd have to go through the whole thing to find there were 2 or 3 of them involving. There was a blurry Megatron. His head was tipped up weird. There was a Metroplex that had a cat hair on it, and I'm pretty much going to tell you because you're never going to see him because I'm not going to go back and find them and put them in there. There's no reason to bother with going to find that. There's no bloopers. So, and there was a couple of times where a Transformer fell over, but it wasn't funny. They just fell over. One of them even turned the camera out of the way. Except for those 3 little scenes there, nothing really worth doing anything with. So, so I could stick it on the end of this, but I'd have to find it first. Yeah, all right. I'll stick 1 or 2 of them in there, but they're not going to be hardly anything. Oh yeah. So on this behind-the-scenes tape, there will be some bloopers, but outtakes, some outtakes in this. So look for that. That's it. I'm going to render the whole thing, put it up tonight, and it'll be official shortly. Real shortly. Scorponok, destroy. Scorponok, crush. A Decepticon. A Decepticon. That's weird. In my timeline, you were called Jetfire. Metroplex, arrive. Metroplex find amusing. You're not very tall. Metroplex, arrive. Metroplex find it amusing. You're not very tall. Metroplex, arrive. But find it amusing. You're not very tall. Unicron, you must follow me to Andraxis. Unicron, you must stop the Decepticons and follow me to Andraxis. Unicron, you must follow me to Andraxis. Unicron, you must follow me to Andraxis and stop the Decepticons. Fall over. I wonder what Megatron and Galvatron are up to. I wonder what Megatron and Galvatron are up to. Then it's about time we stop them.
Then it's about time we stop them.
And yeah. Yeah. Because that'll match. Oh, yes, mighty Harold. Yes, that was a bit dumb. Yes, that was rather pathetic. Yeah. I see you are as treacherous as I. I see you're as treacherous as me, Megatron. 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 You remember that. You're crazy. You ordered your brother blasted through the space bridge. You're crazy. You ordered your brother blasted through the space bridge. You're crazy. You ordered your brother blasted through the space bridge. You're crazy. You ordered your brother blasted through the space bridge. I know, but only to bring